don't know why I just clapped there along with the music, but there you go. Hello and welcome to the Rangers Rabble podcast. I'm Martin Douglas and joining me is Kerr, 55 champion, Scotty, here we go, 10 in a row, and just plain old Cammy. Gentlemen, how are we?
Hi, Martin.
Very good, mate. This is, I will say, this is my setup here is precariously balanced. I don't know if you saw it while the intro was on, but it all fell apart. So we'll see.
Sorry, I'll just cut you out of anything dodgy's seen anyway. Obviously, as you know, if you've been a regular watcher, the podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's blow-away grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement for all your below-the-waist grooming needs, and Rangers Rabble listeners and viewers can get 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code Rabble, RABBLE, at manscaped.com. And on the last podcast, I said Rabble, RABBL. That's how drunk I was. Now, before we get into the podcast, I just have to say, obviously, Rangers released a statement about, obviously, ex-manager and legend Walter Smith. And to respect the family's wishes, obviously, we won't be discussing it at all. All that we've got to say is for everybody at the Rangers Rabble that we have our full support of Walter's family, and we hope he gets well soon. And that's all we're going to say on that. Right, now, Cammy, obviously, there's been a few stuff discussed in Parliament, by government, about the upcoming Old Firm game. There will be a preview later on in the week. But just to kind of talk about the kind of what's happened lately, Stephen Gerrard's come out and there's a big message for Rangers that everybody's just to stay at home.
To be honest with you, I don't know what the big deal is, to be honest. You know,
I think that was actually a crap question.
You know, everybody.
Aye, see to be fair, Cammy, right? Just on that. I don't think there was ever going to be any mass walk to Parkhead. I think it was just a lot of hyped up nonsense. But obviously, Rangers have to come out because the government's making such a big kerfuffle about it and make a statement on it.
I mean, with it getting too political on it, it suits the political landscape with regard to using Rangers particularly as a political football. That's all I'm saying on the subject.
And by the way, just for CGM, Manscaped sponsor every pod going. They might very well do, but they asked us if we wanted them to sponsor us, so we said, aye, why not? Hey, go for it. Scott, I think it would.
Balls are incredibly smooth.
Let's see.
You probably will in a minute.
And we'll just CGM. This is a good point, Scott. Nobody is bothered about going. The league is done, and why would we bother? And that is the point. Maybe if we win at Parkhead, we win the league, it might have caused a bit more of an uproar, if you like. But the fact there's nothing on the game,
it just highlights the incompetence of the people in power, if you like. If they think for the whole thing to be blamed on Rangers in the first place is absolute nonsense. I don't think we could really have predicted we were going to win the league and had the infrastructure in place to stop people from gathering at Ibrox or George Square. I mean, that's just the nonsense. That just does everyone a complete disrespect saying we're going to win the league this weekend. That's only really feasible to say that if it's the last weekend of the season, and then you can get the preparation in place. You're absolutely spot on. Perhaps if we had the opportunity to win the league at Parkhead on Sunday, then we could have had something in place. But again, we lose, we have something in place, we look really stupid. To suggest that, bearing in mind we've already had 2 Old Firm games and nothing apart from maybe them protesting, we have no cause. Why would we go? It's a midden. We don't want to go there anyway. So why would we then go to celebrate if we win or get a draw or whatever the result? It just smacks that they don't actually know what they're doing. If you think that a couple of messages from prominent people will stop a mass gathering, then again that highlights how incompetent and deluded that you are. And this is what they think. So any rational person with a brain cell would actually look at them and go, well, you don't actually know what you're doing. But sadly, some people do, and you really got to question all those involved. Anyway,
absolutely. And can I just say to Mr. CGM, good evening to you as well, my friend. Good evening. I know, Scott. It's just like Scotty said. There's so many Scots out care. Like Scotty says, look, it's Rangers are kind of getting used as this kind of political football at the moment, aren't they? And I suppose I should ask you because you're the one who knows most about politics on this panel.
I wouldn't say that. I probably just. I don't really want to get involved in political side of it, but I would say Rangers are just used as some kind of cover up as well. It's nothing to do with football. It's nothing to do. It's just to do. Rangers fans have done something they shouldn't have done. We all know that, but they did it because the exuberance, like Scott said, you can't cut up matches, can't stop people getting out. But at the end of the day, it does happen in every walk of life, no matter what you're celebrating or who your fans are, teams or any gathering at all. But it's political folly by the party. It's just to cover up some of the things that's happened in the past few months. So don't want to say anymore. Let's talk about football.
Let's talk about the football. And can I just say, when I put up the comment for CGM about Manscaped sponsoring every pod, Aldo McNaught quite rightly puts in only the top podcasts. So there you go. He's also I'm going to hashtag crap question.
Oh yes, we can get that hashtag. Like it, Aldo, my man. Right, no, GB's comment.
Oh, you'll need to. Oh, right, okay. I'm not putting that up, no. Right, look,
I seen it. I like it.
Yeah, you like it, yeah. There you go. People on YouTube can see it and they can like it as well. You've just put me off what my next point was going to be. That was it, Kerr. I seen something today and actually quite fancied discussing it. I think about maybe 3 or 4 months ago, we were all talking about when Alfie leaves, when he goes. Some people, including myself, at a certain point in time were saying he's a lost cause, he has to go. Before I come to the kind of the clubs that he's linked with, do you think maybe that the kind of turnaround in attitude that we've seen for Alfie and the way he's developed his game, do you think he will go now?
I do think he might, yeah. I've to put money on it. I would say he probably would go next season. Hopefully he doesn't, but I think if he get a good offer, he might. I think he's done everything he's wanted at Rangers. I think winning the league's basically said to him, right, I've won the league, this is what I've set out to do. If a team for the English Premiership comes in, they offer Rangers good money. I don't think he's going to turn it down, like you said yourself. I've seen a few clubs linked with him. So, and to be honest with you, his overall game's changed this season. He's not just a goal scorer anymore. He creates, holds the ball up well, brings others into play. He also defends well. So his overall game's developed. He's more of a team player than he used to be. So it's a hard question. I like him to stay, but if I put money on it, I said he would probably go.
Hashtag hard question. Can we get that trending? Instead of hashtag crap question. Cammy, I suppose, is it maybe now though more a case of if he goes, if he goes, not when he goes? Because the only reason I ask this, right, is because I've seen a lot for Alfie over the last kind of 3-4 weeks where he looks a lot happier. His family seems settled, and apparently now he speaks fantastic English.
I mean, Ross Wilson says he's never shut up since we won the league. He's fluent in English. He knows all the Rangers songs and all that sort of stuff. So he's it's quite remarkable. I think he looks happier. I've never seen him smile as much as he's done in the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. His wife uploads pictures of his kid and all that sort of stuff constantly. So I think outside the football, I think he's happy. His form's excellent. I've been quite consistent all the way through this. As much as I think winning a trophy is vitally important for him, the Champions League will be where I believe, will want to see himself play. As it stands, somebody could offer £20 million, West Ham, for example. He's not going to play in the Champions League for West Ham. If he stays, gets us into the Champions League, does the business in the Champions League, I believe the teams that will be in for him will be all at a Champions League level. I don't believe that will be the case as it stands now. If it was an English team, I don't believe he's going to get a Chelsea, a Tottenham, a Man United, any of that. You know, it's going to be a West Ham, an 8 to a top 10 side at the very best. You know, so I hope he stays for one more season.
Can I just say, by the way, Cammy, thanks for taking away my next 3 questions. That was awfully kind of you. We comment in for Andrew Bluebell's evening, boys. Good to see you on. A good friend of mine, Andrew. Good to see you watching. And I also should just say that there's not been a lot of there's been no football over the weekend. I'm scratching about for an agenda. We're going to come to Slavia Prague later on, so get your questions in. Any question you want, by the way, no matter how embarrassing it is for anybody on the pod, except myself, because I don't answer questions. I definitely don't answer questions. So, Scotty, I mean, Cammy's took away most of my questions there, but if Alfie does leave, what do you think the level, because he's obviously, if he does leave, 90% he's going to go down south. So what kind of club, what kind of level do you see Alfie playing at down south? And the reason I ask, actually, I should say, is because like Cammy says, if he wants Champions League football, he's going to get that at Rangers.
It depends what his priorities are. I think, for what it's worth, I think Alfie's away in the summer. And I base that on murmurings of what's coming out. He's recently done the interview, but going back to what Gerard said a couple of weeks ago, he turned around and said, Morelos loves this competition, Europa League, and we know why. And obviously that lens puts himself in the window. It's what comes out in, I think Ross Wilson mentions it, and it's what the interview did with the Colombian press. They mention it. He's basically just put himself in the shop window, and it wouldn't surprise me if there have been assurances that if we win the league, then he gets to go in the summer. I'm sure there's going to be a caveat with a price, but let's face it, as long as we get the money that we want from him, it really doesn't really matter where he goes. Yes, we would like to see him perform on the top stage. If he goes to England, he's not going to get a top 4 club, as Cammy says, but there's every chance he could get a top 10 club that's looking to push for those European places. And what he really needs is to keep momentum of his career going. So maybe spend 1 or 2 years at that level club, depending on whoever is in that part of the league, and then move up to the top 4 as quick as possible. I mean, if I was Alfie and I was his agent and I'm in it for the money, I'm pushing him towards the Premier League. From a career football perspective, I'm saying Champions League. And if he's desperate to get away from Rangers in the summer, then Champions League in a La Liga or a Serie A or somewhere where he would actually be able to get into the team and dominate. Because I'm looking at the likes of AC Milan. He'll be able to get into the AC Milan team. We're looking at, outside. I mean, there's a push that Moussa Dembele is on the bench at Atletico Madrid. If he's on the bench, Morelos can get on the bench and get into that team. So he is at that level. English leagues, for some reason, they spend a shed load of money on strikers and they're awash with them. So it's a bit more challenging from that perspective. I can't remember the rest of the question. What was it?
I can't even remember the rest of the question. But just by the way, just on that English league spending a fortune, that's going to come back to bite them at some point. 100% it is. But Kerr, I suppose it's not just Alfie. I suppose if we look at any member of our squad and CGM puts in, like Morelos will be able to double his money, even if he goes to a mid-table English team, he will go. I suppose if we're looking at Kamara, we're looking at even to an extent Connor Goldson or a Philip Hollander. If a mid-range English team comes in and their agent's told, listen, we'll give you double, treble your wages, what can Rangers do?
Not a lot. It's entirely up to the player then. If Rangers have got a wage cap, they can't go over a certain wage. Rangers, it's impossible with the money they get in Scotland through his TV deals and everything else. So in England, it's total opposite. I mean, you get 100 million for finishing bottom. So you can offer 50, 60, up to £100,000 a week. If somebody's going to offer you that, in the day, football's only a career. You don't know how long it's going to be. So if somebody's going to offer you life-changing money, it's very hard to knock it back, especially if you don't come from the city you're playing in and you don't support the team or anything. You're not associated with it, it's just a job. So somebody giving you double or 3 times your wages and £1 million to sign on, it's very hard to say no. I know a lot of fans say I wouldn't go there, but in the day, if somebody offered you now, Martin, 3 times your wages to go elsewhere, would you think about it? Would you do it? You probably would. So it's no hard decision for a lot of players.
No, and I think, and this is it, we're off on a wee bit of a tangent here, Cammy, but I think a lot of us fans need to remember that, look, he wasn't brought up a Rangers supporter. So, and a lot of players, sorry, you're going to jump in.
I think Scotty nailed it. It depends on what the driver is. Is it all about going down to West Ham and getting 75 grand a week? Or is it going somewhere and getting 75 grand a week and the prospect of Champions League? It's my whole issue with him. He's still a young guy, He's still got another 3, 4, 5 years probably at his peak. So I just think that the opportunities will come. I do believe that Rangers will play the same situation as we did last summer. I think we will have a fee, and if that fee is met, I think he'll probably go. But I said many weeks ago he's the player I think would be the hardest to replace, just because of what he brings to the party. It's going to be an interesting summer with regard to who leaves and who comes in.
I know. Well, GB's put he'd fit in at Atletico. I think he'd be a perfect signing. So if Atletico want to come in and offer us 40 million, then that would be good, because Andrew Bluebells puts, look at Newcastle, centre forward, 40 million, played 59 games and scored 3 goals. But that's the problem, Scott. People look at the Scottish League and they'll see somebody like Morelos and they'll maybe say 20 million, but they'll go abroad to foreign leagues and spend 40 million on a totally unknown quantity. And that was easy for me to say.
Yeah, but they've been doing that to the Dutch league for God knows how long. It's reputation and how much they respect the league. And I mean, if we cannot be taken seriously as a league, and I've said this before, if we don't respect ourselves. So we can't expect players to come in and, I know Tierney signed for Arsenal for 25 million quid, and we should be looking around that figure. But we can see, I think we will see very quickly after he leaves and the level that he plays at, where he is at a footballer. I don't think he's really done it for Colombia just yet, but he's not really had the opportunity. And quite frankly, Colombia have been absolute turd anytime I've seen them. Signing for someone like West Ham, I mean, someone's made a point in the comments of why would you leave Rangers and win trophies or choose to sign someone like West Ham? To that, I would...
Fog dog.
Well, there's quite a few of the same comments. I would actually turn around and say any footballer worth their salt would back themselves to go to a club and help that club win trophies. That is what they're all about. No football club. And I don't think Morelos is the type to be a mercenary, where he's just happy going, being a star and picking up the wages and driving a Lamborghini. I think the best thing that he's done in his career so far is actually have that child, because I think that's actually changed him and transformed his personality, and that will help him in the long run.
I suppose, actually, we talk about all this, Kerr, but I think we should also remember that the way that the board have said that, we're going to move forward is we are going to be a selling club. So I think we're going to see a lot of players getting sold anyway. And I think that's when Ross Wilson comes in and it's all about the recruitment.
But you're always going to have to sell, Martin. You can't keep every player you buy. So you try to sell, like with them years ago.
You can if you sell it.
we done it years ago with Boomsong. We brought them in, sold them for a profit. So if you can bring players in like Aribo, like Kamara for not a lot of money, they do really well, and then you sell them for maybe 10 million profit. It's a great business model, because a team like Rangers, we're a big club, we all know that, but because where we play, it's a problem. It's where we play. If we played in the English Premiership, that problem goes out the window, because we can afford anybody, we can keep players because of TV rights and stuff. Up in Scotland, that's a different kettle of fish, basically, because we've not got any money to play with. So you have to bring players in, do them really well for a few years, and if you can make a profit, sell them on, and then try and bring other players in at a lower price and do the same with them. It's just a conveyor belt of bringing talent on, try to sell what you've got, keep what you've try to keep some of it, and then just keep producing results, getting trophies, and just doing that. We can't keep players just for the sake of keeping them.
I know, but the Boomsong one, if I cast my mind back, because I've got the worst memory in the history of memories. There was something weird about that one. Anyway, where's all the dodgy questions, by the way, for the guys on the panel? Ask them anything you want. The most embarrassing question you can think of, and I will most certainly
see
put it to
the
them.
other thing with regard to this summer. I mean, there could potentially be 4 or 5 players leave.
Oh, Cammy, don't. It's a fear of mine. It really is.
Listen, Scotty, it's a fear of mine.
Yeah.
I really hope. I've been really consistent on this. McGregor, Davis, Golson, Tavernier are all needing to extend. I would hope by the end of the season that you have extensions for all 4 of them as a starting point. You then reach a point where Barisic and Camara go to the Euros. I think we've been trying to get Glenn Kamara signed up to an extended deal or an improved extended deal for a while. It hasn't happened. He could go to the Euros and tear it up. An offer comes in. Barisic, I think his agent has been agitating for the last year or so. Barisic is reaching an age where he probably thinks he's got one big move left in him. So if I think Barisic out of the current starting 11, I think he's the most likely to move for a transfer fee this summer. But we could easily you could end up bringing in 40 million for 4 players. I mean, it's not out with the bounds of possibility. I'm sure Ross Wilson and the manager know conversations that have been had. I mean, they'll have spoke to Tav and Golson and know what their thought process is. They might be happy on 25 grand a week and winning 2 or 3 trophies every season for the next 4 or 5 years, or they might want to go down south and get 5 million as a signing on fee and 50 grand a week and set themselves up for life. You don't know. It's each player. You don't know what their thought process is.
That's a big worry for you then, Scotty.
Huge, because it's not the fact that I don't care how much money comes in. I think once an offer's made, I don't think they're going to depreciate in value altogether that quickly, that soon after. But if you have a mass outgoing of players, and I'm talking 4 or 5, that upsets the whole balance and the whole rhythm of the team. So yes, you could bring in players that are good, just as good or better, but there's absolutely zero guarantee that they're going to be able to play the way this team does or follow the instructions. You stand more of a chance if you're just replacing 1 or 2 at a given moment in time. So in an ideal scenario, if we're having bids for these players, let's say, for example, Cammy's right, Barisic goes in the summer, Morelos goes in the summer, but then, you've got people sniffing around Kamara, Aribo, Kent. Then ideally what we want is 2 of them to go in the summer and say, right, okay, cool your jets, guys, we'll let you go in January. And then the next one, right, we'll let you go next summer, and give it a chance to actually create some continuity rather than just a revolving door of players. And I'd hate to see so many players leave at once. You do need to retain that continuity. Otherwise, we are back to trying to build a side, no matter how good these players are. We've got to build. The reason why we're so good is because we are a unit. We are like one great player. We're 11 guys in the park that play as one great player.
But to be fair, we've seen Gerrard and if you want to add in Ross Wilson do that here in the January. I mean, they brought in Davis and Defoe. Obviously, it took 6 months or whatever. We've brought in Scott Wright for Aberdeen early, so that's bed him in. So, and with regards to the players maybe leaving, I mean, that's where Ross Wilson's got to show how good he is at his job.
Ross will always know there's players going out and players coming in. That is his job. Same as Gerrard. He's a manager. He knows himself playing the game. He played that many different players, and he knows players are only going to stay at your club forever. Of course, we like the players to stay, but as the guys probably know, winning this league has put the players up on a pedestal. So much intense on them since we've won the league, and they perform, especially European runs, have shown what they can do against better opposition. So we've all got offers in, and at the end of the day, players have a lot of power nowadays. Even if the club says you don't want you to go, the players can dig their heels in if they want to go. Their agents have so much power telling them to move. So I think it's just a case of we wait and see. Hopefully, like Scotty, I hope we don't go, but I'm a bit like Cam. I think maybe 2 or 3 will go at the end of the season, but Rangers will be prepared for that as well. They'll be working out different scenarios behind the scenes. If these 2 go or they 2 go, I think that's how players like Scott Wright's come in, and then you get the lad for Bournemouth, Simpson. I think the other lad for Bournemouth, I don't know if he signed or not. I never really heard nothing after that, but there were other players on the radar. So even though we're letting players go, bringing players in, it is hard to fit them into the team just now because the team gels so well. But that's what Gerrard gets paid for. He knows that himself. So it's just football, I'm afraid. It's just things we're going to have to learn. Let it deal with, especially for winning stuff.
Aye, well, look, I mean, Andrew Bluebells, Andy, please don't put great point Scotty. His head is already massive, right? We really don't need that. CGM puts in, Borna Barisic, Morelos and Kamara are highly saleable assets. 2 or 3 will go this summer. That's fair enough. And Andrew, ask the boys if they've tried the lawnmower.
Only Scotty.
Scotty, what designs are you sporting? Laminate?
A what?
Laminate.
To be honest, I'm agriculturally challenged. So at the moment, I've just gone for the really, really tidy look. Now, I've not got it to hand, but when I got it last time, you push the button and it comes up with a light, so you can actually see all the nooks and crannies where perhaps you wouldn't ordinarily get. It's actually quite a lot of fun. Do take your time, but I'm incredibly smooth down there, and I don't want to say it's like a smooth lawn.
People wonder, by the way, people will be saying, what's Martin got in his hands? It's a stress ball, and it's for that reason.
But what's he going to say next?
Scotty, see if you've recorded that when you've done it. Just make sure you're really careful when you're uploading it to Twitter.
And we shall
I've still not seen that.
I think you should do a YouTube tutorial, Scott.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
No more questions. No more questions for anybody watching.
Can I just add that I really like the Manscaped smell? They've got like their signature scent. It is, highly recommend. You walk around smelling like a proper man.
Yes, brilliant, Scotty. Cammy and Carol. Astra stuff.
Exactly.
But listen, I want to get to this comment before I lose it. And it's a good point for GB and Cammy. I'll take it to you. There'll be a lot of players wanting to come to Rangers now because of the success that Steven Gerrard is having. So I suppose, the players played really well. They get looked at by other clubs, they get taken away, but we can also bring in a better calibre of player now as well.
Well, I mean, the recruitment up until now has proven that. I mean, Steven Gerrard alone attracts Rangers in the Europa League. The profile of Rangers doing well in the Europa League, if we make the last 8, that profile is only going to grow and grow. I think succession planning is part of Ross Wilson's remit. I think Ross Wilson will know. He'll know a heck of a lot. We're speculating here with regard to it, but they will have a plan. If X, Y, and Z player they know are going to be leaving, they'll have a list. They'll have a list of 100 players and that sort of thing. But the boys nailed it there with regard to looking 2-3 transfer windows ahead. They know, but I think Scotty's point, there might be 6 players could leave this summer, but 2 of them go, and then maybe another one goes in January, then another. That's the situation with Tav and Golson. You might tie both of them to an extended deal to protect yourself as a club, and also they might say, right, I want a last crack, I want a chance to play in the Premiership. Right, you can go to the Premiership, but what I want you to do is retain the title, get us into the Champions League, and then in the summer of 2022, you've still got 2 years left in your contract. We can get 10 million just for a figure. You go with good wishes. That's, I'm sure, conversations. I would be very surprised if we do decimate the starting 11 and 5 or 6 players leave. I think there's potentially 5 or 6 players could leave, but I think over the course of the next 18 months to 2 years, it would be all the hard work of the last 3 years and the position of strength that we are now in would be the other half of the city are in a rebuilding phase. We don't want to take 2 steps back and
That's a great
bring
point.
them closer to us, So I think worst case scenario 5 or 6 players leave, but I think more realistic, I think to the if we bring into the value of about £15 million, that'll cover the shortfall in the accounts, and that could be by selling Barisic and Kamara, just to name 2.
Well, see, Andrew, you really need to stop telling them that they're doing well, right? Because you've got no idea in the group chats after it. Oh, how good was that? That was brilliant.
You'd actually have to pay us instead of promising the money.
And by the way, that's just not true. That's just not true. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Right. And GB, come on, GB. Right. Cammy's not always spot on. Right. I want to move on to a wee kind of a wee topic that will probably be discussed more. We're going to do the Celtic previews, going to tie in with our live reaction on Thursday night. But Scotty, Brendan Rodgers was on Sky Sports. Brendan Rodgers, the gift that keeps on giving. Now, I don't really care, right? This is just a question, just to fill some airtime, if I'm being brutally honest. And guys, get your comments in.
Hashtag crap question.
Hashtag crap question. And I think everybody already knows what I'm going to say, so get your thoughts in the comments. Brendan Rodgers says that if you're a top club, you should give, regardless of who it is, a guard of honour. Number 1, will they? Number 2, do you care?
What is it? Birthday card pesh. I don't care. I don't care if they want to give us a guard of honour. They could give us a guard of honour. I wouldn't give them one. It's a rivalry. I'm not into this unnecessary sportsmanship. I don't buy into the fact that, it will motivate you to succeed. Either you've got the motivation in you to succeed or you don't. You don't need to clap your nearest rivals on the park kind of job. It just sums up Brendan Rodgers all over, doesn't he? He's what, a football manager version of David Brent. Boring.
Who care?
No doubt he, before the Sky Sports interview, he got out his book of really shit cliches and thought, right, I can reel that one off, that one off, that one off.
You big white teeth.
Care is Brendan Rodgers right?
To be honest with you, I don't really care about a guard of honour myself. Football's a bit rivalry, so I wouldn't give them one, so I don't really expect it back. End of story.
Can I just say though, if Brendan Rodgers is saying all this, and I know it's winding them up, keep going, pal. Keep going. You're doing a sterling job because, keep going.
Cammy, what's your thoughts on Brendan Rodgers, the gift that keeps on giving?
Brendan Rodgers, I had a chuckle. Somebody on Twitter earlier said that Brendan Rodgers is a press conference away from wearing a Calvin Bassey bucket hat.
I've seen that.
Listen, I don't expect or want a guard of honour. A guard of honour is about a respect and a good fight fought and all that sort of stuff. We don't respect them. They certainly don't respect us. So no, we go to Parkhead on Sunday. We do our business on the park. We get the 3 points, beat them convincingly. That's all that matters.
Aye, no, I completely agree. Look, the whole guard of honour thing, I think it's a lot of nonsense anyway, regardless of what team you are or what league you're in. What a load of nonsense. I'm going to come on to the poll, Cammy, that you done for McGregor and Gorham. But before I do that, Scotty, there was obviously no game this weekend, right? And I'm just curious. Obviously, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're struggling to get games together and what have you. I know there's an international break and stuff coming up, but why was there no game this weekend? Because I was bored out my nut.
Was it originally reserved for Scottish Cup or something?
Yeah, but could they not have just
must
moved a game in?
Nah, well, yeah, but
I'm just complaining because I was bored.
I think they'd already
yeah,
done
I
that.
know.
I think they'd already done that with the fixtures that were due the 3rd of April.
Was it? Yeah.
I think with Dundee United game that we played,
Yeah.
I think about 3-4 weeks ago, that got brought forward. So I don't think there was any other than bringing the Celtic fixture forward a week, which Nicola Sturgeon wouldn't have allowed anyway. That was really the only option that they had available.
Right,
It was very boring though. Yeah.
It was extremely boring. Can I just also say that somebody finally agrees with me? It's fun. CCGM, that's how you do it, right?
Andrew, you've misspelled Scotty.
And here's a question for you, Cammy. Has Cammy stole everyone on the panel's photos? So see maybe for people that maybe don't tune in all the time. And by the way, see if you're tuning in for the first time and you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. It's free and hit the like button. If you're on Twitter, give us a wee retweet, and if you're on Facebook, give us a wee like. So Cammy, do you want to explain the pictures behind you?
Yeah, that's his toilet. He sat on the toilet.
I'm actually sitting on the toilet at the moment. No, that's just one wall. You know what I mean? There's 75 photographs in this room. So I'll change the view as the weeks progress.
Just don't point it down the way.
Aye, don't do a Scotty. Don't do a Scotty. Right, so Cammy, you done a poll after obviously the European game about what was a better save, Alan McGregor's against Slavia or Gorham's against Celtic with the Van Hooydonk. I don't even know how to say it. What was it?
See, when I was putting that poll up, I was actually toiling as to how I was going to describe Gorham versus. I think I ended up Gorham versus them 1995 because I wasn't putting Celtic, and Van Hooydonk was just too much an effort to spell it.
What was the result of the poll?
It ended up 50-50. I think there was about 350 votes, which, I mean, it's no masses, but I think it should be 50-50. You know what I mean? I think I said to you earlier, Griggsy had a save against Werder Bremen in 2008, which was an absolute worldie as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to pick what I thought was the best save Gorham in 1995, which was unbelievable from Van Hooydonk, and McGregor at the age of 39 pulling out a ridiculous save in the last minute. I think they were both unbelievable saves, to be honest with you, and I wouldn't argue against either of them, to be honest.
Right, so in the comments, either put Gorham or McGregor for whatever you think was the best save, because I'm going to come to a question now that I think I might get shouted at for asking. But Kerr, can we now have a serious debate? And it's difficult, right? But these debates are always just meant to be a bit of fun. Can we now have a serious debate about who was the better goalkeeper?
We can have a serious debate, but it's difficult. Always goes with people's ages, who people seen most. Obviously, I'm a bit older, so I've seen
a bit.
I know, but you look older, but I'm a bit older. I've seen Gorham when he first came. Don't get me wrong, I cut mistakes when he first came. I remember against Hibs, I think it was, and then, but some of the saves Gorham pulled off when he came was phenomenal. But McGregor's the same. Both of them save you at least. Both of them guarantee at least 10 points a season. Do you know what I mean? Just with the saves they can make, especially when they came by idle for 85 minutes in that game. So as a serious debate, personally, I still think Gorham just edges it, just because I was a big fan of Andy Gorham, but McGregor's taking them all the way.
Right, well, we've had Fog Dog who says Gorham. That was obviously just for that one save. We've had GB that says Gorham. We've had Andrew Bluewells who says seen both of them. Andy Gorham was unreal, was at that game. Right, now the question for the comments is, who's the better keeper? Right, so I'm going to bring that to you now. Now, Scotty, do you think maybe people are more inclined to go? Because most people go with Gorham. Is that because he was simply the better goalkeeper, or was that simply because it was during 9 in a row?
I think there is a kind of romantic nostalgia with Andy Gorham, but that is with very good reason. I've said this before. Andy Gorham at the time, he wasn't just a fantastic goalkeeper or a great goalkeeper. He was actually one of the best in the world. He was right up there with Peter Schmeichel in the mid-90s as the best goalkeeper in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's because there wasn't a great depth of goalkeeping talent, right? That's up to you. But the fact remains, he still was one of the best goalkeepers in the world. You look at McGregor. McGregor is a class goalkeeper, and stick him and his agility and athleticism in that 90s team. Are we going to be let down by McGregor? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, McGregor demonstrates time and time again how much of a class goalkeeper he is. At the age of 39, he's defying the supposed age of his body. I mean, he's just incredible. In terms of the two saves, we're just going to have my say on those. That McGregor save is possibly one of the best saves I've seen. Now, I'm not saying Gorham's wasn't as good, but the power, the downward header, I thought it was in. I think everyone thought it was in. It was almost as if the ball was past him and he still dragged it back with his pinky and kept hold of it. I think what's so special about Gorham's is it was a point blank volley that, albeit, there's an argument, and I heard someone say this, it was straight at him. It might be straight at him, but it was the centre of the goal, and somehow he's defied physics by getting the ball round the post. And to this day, you can watch it over and over again, and you have no clue how that ball he's saved, and it's just unbelievable. I think you've just got to appreciate we've been extremely lucky in having probably a conveyor belt of class goalkeepers. From my lifetime, it's been Chris Woods, Andy Gorham, Stefan Klos, even Charbonnier deserves a mention because he was a class goalkeeper.
Steve Simonson,
Cammy Bell.
Lionel Letizi. The list goes on. Theo Snelders, Ali Maxwell. We've just been extremely lucky. I think McGregor just doesn't get the recognition he deserves because he's Scottish. Whereas in the 90s, we were also one of the biggest teams in Europe. We were the financial clout. Everyone knew who we were. We were spending money, and it just didn't quite work out for us in Europe for whatever reason.
Marseille.
But we were. Look, that's a really good thing to say. And I'll probably get slaughtered for this, but we serially underachieved for what we spent throughout the 90s because you cannot point to just 92, 93 and say Marseille cheated us, because quite frankly, the amount we spent, I suppose that's also got something to do with like the
remember 3-4
rules. Yeah. But later on, when they got rid of that, again, we still underachieved and we should have done a lot better. So we've only really got ourselves to blame, and we can point the finger at Marseille. But that particular season, we actually overachieved. Anyway,
that's a whole that's a podcast for during the international break. Cammy,
we should have done that, shouldn't we?
Fuck Dogs put in Gorham just because of his longevity. So do you think maybe that might something that might go against McGregor? Not because he left, because I don't think anybody could blame any player for leaving after the events of 2012. Maybe the way they left, and I don't mean McGregor in that, but do you think maybe that's why Gorham gets looked at more fondly, simply just because he was at the club for a longer period of time?
Possibly. I do think that it's an age thing as well, though. I think in the years to, I genuinely think in the years to come.
Sorry, I put you off here, Cammy.
I genuinely believe that in time, if you were to ask us the same question, if we're sitting here in 15 years doing this,
well, I will be. Yous won't, but I will be.
I'll be in a care home by that time. But I think Alan McGregor is getting very close to Andy Gorham, and I never thought I would ever say that about another Rangers goalkeeper. Andy Gorham, we used to go to Celtic Park, and Tommy Burns said that, that Andy Gorham broke his heart. It used to be 6, 7, 8 world-class saves every single Old Firm game. Now, Griggsy's made some big saves, but I think that's why during sort of 7 in a row, 8 in a row, 9 in a row, at that spell, Andy Gorham was as good a goalkeeper as there was anywhere in Europe. And I think that's what, as somebody who watched Rangers home and away, abroad, all through that spell, you just thought, God, look at the nick of this goalkeeper. His knees are knackered. He's not he doesn't look after himself off the park. He doesn't look an athletic specimen, but my God, what a goalkeeper. Griggsy's came back and he's getting better with age, in my opinion. It's a credit to Alan McGregor that he's able to pull out saves like that. It's brilliant. I mean, I think as a character, Alan McGregor is second to none. I mean, to be honest with you, the interview, I mean, the save was...
He's fantastic at interviews, Cammy, isn't
he? The interview was absolutely world class. The save was absolutely world class, and then Emma Dodds interviews him, and honest to goodness, how she never burst out laughing while he was... And then
she was probably thinking about something else, Cammy.
Aye, but then he described how he made the save, and then he says happy days. And then for the next 24 hours, you've got all these uploads, Alan McGregor to the tune of Happy Days. I mean, he's just a character. It's safe to say he won't go down the Chris Boyd route of punditry when he finishes, because I don't see that as his future career.
Well, Chick Sharp has commented in McGregor is the best we've had, and GB again, with McGregor stayed at the top longer age-wise, and in these later years he's caught up to Gorham. That's actually quite a good point, Kerr. I mean, McGregor's 39 now, and he's still performing at the highest level.
Yes, and that's credit to Al McGregor. I mean, when he left Hull City, he could have thought that's me finished at the top level, but he come back and
sorry, Kerr, I've got to tell you the reason why. It's because he's the biggest lightweight on the planet. Andy Gorham used to drink pints of wine. Alan McGregor can barely drink 2 beers.
But he's checking Nick in the back of the car after the celebrations, and he makes that save on the Thursday. Do you know what I mean? That's top notch, I have to say. I think he just it's credit to the both of them that we're sitting here talking about 2 goalkeepers many years apart, and we're still talking about the guys. Do you know what I mean? One's still playing, but one isn't playing. But we're still here debating who was the best, who's not the best. So credit to both of them.
Right, okay, I've got a question here. I think it's a question for Andrew Blewells. Imagine if we had social media in the days of Gaza, Durant and McCoist, we would win Twitter. Could you imagine those guys on Twitter?
Imagine social media and the pictures, and you saw it. Oh, mate, it would ruin it for you.
Aye.
The stories.
See, to be honest with you, Coisty's on Instagram, and he's class on Instagram now. But
but could you imagine a Coisty Cammy 20 years younger on social media?
But see, to be honest with you, I'm glad that I lived through that 9 in a row spell when there wasn't social media, and I wasn't even a professional footballer that was scoring 40 goals a season for Rangers and getting up to
God knows.
And I think they will be grateful of the fact that they didn't live through a social media world when they were young, free, single, and that was the whole situation with regard to it's a different situation, but the boys with the COVID, with the party and stuff like that. Listen, guys, see, during the team that wins together, team that drinks together, wins together, and all that sort of situation. That team were going out 2 or 3 times a week and getting up to everything, But there wasn't the social media. That it wasn't a thing. during the 90s. You know, I mean, it's my God, it's a frightening thought.
No, well, McCoist was interviewed. I think it was on Open Goal, because I like to give credit where credit's due. And he said, you know, that saying that team that drinks together wins together. But he did also say we might have had a few parties, but on the training ground, it was business. You know, so even though they were out partying, they were still. I mean, when Walter Smith's your manager, you're going to train properly, regardless of what's happening. We've got a question for Fog Dog. Who's bought #55 whiskey or champagne? Anybody on here bought that? No.
Teetotal.
Hi, okay. Just looking to see if we've got any more comments before we move on to the preview. Right, okay, on to the preview then. Cammy.
Hold on.
What?
Have you seen Stephen Kirkland's comment here?
Oh, no. Right, anyway, we'll ignore that comment. We'll bring that up in a minute. Cammy, from what you've seen last Thursday, does this Thursday come and worry you at all?
Aye, I mean,
Hashtag crap question.
I think it's we are in a very good position with the fact that we've got the away goal, but we will have to play to the top of our game to qualify, because they showed enough to me that they will be a dangerous outfit on the counter attack. I think we'll have to be switched on defensively, and that's not just the back five. That's the middle of the park as well. You know, I don't believe we can carry. And I'm going to mention Aribo again. I don't think we can have Aribo playing as one of the middle three.
No.
In my opinion, I just think we will have to be a solid unit and take our chances when they come along. I do believe we will qualify, but I think it'll take a top performance like we've done several times already this season in Europe.
Well, this is the thing, Scotty, and I don't know maybe if it was Gerrard's tactics or whatever, and who am I to question, you know, the king that is Steven Gerrard. But we're going to have to start a lot better than what we did in that away leg.
Yeah, we will. But I think a lot of that was actually down to Slavia Prague and their intensity, their energy, their pressing, which for me was actually really pleasing to see, because it actually really tested us. And for me, actually came through that test. Very similar to teams where they think they've got the better of us. It only lasts for a certain period of time, and we come back into the game. Yeah, okay, after that, we perhaps didn't have the free-flowing football that we ordinarily would have liked. But we came back into the game, held our own. You know, we did score. We had the opportunity to score a couple of others. Obviously, notable at the end, we had Alan McGregor's save. So it's actually really interesting to, I think, see what kind of Slavia Prague comes to Glasgow. And when I say comes to Glasgow, without getting my Brendan Rodgers book of cliches out, Eastern European teams don't tend to travel that well. And I think, you know, they've already been beaten away by Midtjylland, and they've struggled away various places while they've always got the solid results at home, with a notable exception, of course, of Leicester City. So whether they actually, if they come to Glasgow and they sit, I fancy our chances a lot more than if they come and they press us for the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes like they did. Because I think at Ibrox, it may catch us even more by surprise. And the thing that we want to avoid is an open game. So a tight game, if they sit back, a tight game would suit us. Kind of akin to a Legia Warsaw kind of performance, or a final, you know, one of the earlier kind of European games that we faced, or Lech Poznan, not Royal Antwerp, Standard Liège, or even to a certain extent Benfica.
I know, but you see, the thing is, Keir, right, and most of the opinions I have on football are wrong, right? I'm willing to accept that. I know nothing, right? That's why I ask questions. But from what I've seen from Slavia, they were a good team, right? They were a good team, and they have the capacity to put us out. But after that initial kind of 30, 35 minutes, nothing really scared me about getting into this home leg.
No, I see where you're coming from, Martin. And looking at Slavia recently,
Thanks very much.
a lot of their goals have been in the first half against teams, even in their own league. I mean, they won 3-0 at weekend, but they scored 2 in the first half. So against us over there, the first half they came out with traps flying, and they put us under pressure. And I think we were kind of taken aback by it. But we came up to half time and we were still drawn. But it wasn't a fluky goal, but we got a goal against the run of play basically. But the second half we improved and we had them pinned back at times, and we could have scored goals and could have scored before McGregor had to pull that save out at the end. So I don't think we've got nothing to fear, but I agree with Scotty as in, if they come to Ibrox on Thursday night and come out the traps flying again for the first 30 minutes, we're going to have to defend. And sometimes we don't defend well against teams that hit us on presses and hit us really hard, because we can be slow, especially with Rebo sitting in the middle of three, because he doesn't track back, he doesn't follow his runners, he lets people run behind him, he doesn't look, and him and Kamara seem to get in each other's way. So if Joe's going to be playing on Thursday, play him on the forward, and I'm maybe put Ryan Jack if he's fit back in the midfield three, or Arfield. I wouldn't play Rebo there. It's too high profile game to play, Joe.
Where would you play Rebo?
Further forward.
That's better. Sorry, that's proper English. There you go.
Further forward, so I wouldn't play him in the middle three.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
I would play Jack midway Park if he's fit, or Arfield with Kamara and Davis. But we have to, if we can keep it tight for the first 8 minutes, I think we will go through. But it will be a difficult game because technically they're a good side. They scored a lot of goals, and I think beating Leicester gave them a high. They're not going to come and fear us.
Well, that is the thing, Cammy. I don't know because I never watched it, and I maybe should have because we're doing a preview on the game. The away leg they played against Leicester, I don't know what kind of team Leicester had out, but you would have to think that Rangers would look at that and go, right, well, if they've got the capacity to go to England and win 2-0 against a top, whatever you think about them, a top Premier League side, it's got to kind of worry you a wee bit, is it not?
I mean, I think it was interesting, Gerrard, in his post-match presser, he spoke about they tweaked ever so slightly, and we went with Kent and Morelos as a sort of, I'm not saying as a front two, but they were playing close together, and Aribo was sort of freer, playing the sort of number 10 as into the second half. So I think it'll be interesting tactically how we I think it's about how we play and how we set up.
Right, no, but wait a minute. Sorry, Cammy, I'll just take us straight back to you then. You're Steven Gerrard. What's your game plan for Thursday? How are you setting the team out?
I think there will be an element of, I think, being a bit, I'm not saying a bit cagey, but I don't think we'll come out the traps 100 mile an hour, try to blow them away in the first 20 minutes. I could be wrong. We've approached a lot of European games in different ways this season. You know, I mean, it's very hard to predict how the manager will go. I know that's not really answering your question, but
no, it's just a pure cop out.
If it was me, I would have Arfield, Davis, and Kamara as my three, and I would have Aribo, Kent, and Morelos up top. The fact that Aribo can, so it can almost be a 4-4-2. It wouldn't be a 4-4-2, but essentially 4 at the back, 3 in midfield. Aribo sort of playing in behind Kent and Morelos. You know, so it's almost like 4-3-1-2 sort of situation. But I think the three forward players have the scope to, it can be a 3 or it can be 1 with the 2 wide players or whatever. But it's hard on Hadji because he's, as much as he didn't have the greatest game last week, he's popped up and had a moment where he's quick thinking, he's pulled it back. I feel sorry for him that he probably deserves to start. But if I was picking the 11 on Thursday night, I would go for Aribo over Hadji, but he has to be playing in the final third, not in the defensive third, because he does, like Kerr mentioned, he worries me with regard to he goes to sleep too often.
Yeah. I think anybody who has watched most of the podcasts that we've done will know that I've said for day one, Aribo doesn't play in that midfield three. But Scotty, I'll come to you for a straight answer because Cammy totally dodged the question. What's the game plan for Thursday? How does Gerrard set up and how does he go about getting a win on Thursday? What does he do? Does he go out full throttle, closing down, or do we sit back, hitting the counter? What's he going to do?
Galatasaray. There's your game plan.
No, it's Slavia Prague.
No. Smart ass. Yeah, I'd expect something very, very similar to Galatasaray. I think you have to approach it on a one-off basis. You can't look at it and say, well, try and win, but a draw will do. I think you're on a hiding to nothing, particularly against a high-energy team. If you do that, because you run the risk of getting overrun. We've got to take control and be brave. Interestingly, there's one guy that I think is going to have a massive say on the outcome because it was a bugbear of mine in the first leg, and I think that's the referee. The referee, I think, but it'd also be interesting to see the tactics in that respect from Slavia Prague, because obviously they were at home, and when you're at home, you're more likely to get the decisions from the referee, and they were I'm trying to think of the words, but kind of overacting and overzealous in the tackle, and they got away with an awful lot that perhaps if it was at Ibrox, I don't think they would. So if they try that again at Ibrox, as long as we've got a strong referee, they won't have that joy, and that could actually open up play even more for us, because what was happening is we'd go for the attack, the dive referee would give a free kick because he screamed so loud. If the referee just plays that on, the amount of times that we would have been in or, towards the keeper or taking advantage of a certain situation, then, that could have a massive bearing too. But the first 10 minutes will be not cagey, but take control of the ball and actually test them, because I think Kerr said they look quite, pardon my French, shit at the back. They are physical and aggressive, but Kent should have scored, Goldson should have scored, and their keeper is as dodgy as whichever one of the Antwerp keepers you want to choose.
Listen, actually, something I forgot, Kerr. Did you know that we didn't have a game at the weekend? Did you know we didn't play at the weekend? Right? They did. I think they were winning like 2 or 3-0 or whatever it was. But the point is, we've had a full week off. The players have had a chance to recover for the emotions of winning the league. So will that be a benefit or will that be a negative for us, considering it's only a week off?
It shouldn't really matter. The players should be match fit anyway, and it's only been a week. It's not been too long. They played at the weekend, so they'll be fired up. The players should be fired up for this because the league's been taken care of. We've got 2 trophies now. We should be concentrating on Europa League being one of them. So the players should be fired up, because if we get through this, hopefully we will, then it's who knows. It's a lucky drawing who you get, and if Rangers can play the way they play, they shouldn't fear anybody. It doesn't matter who we get, because on our day we're a really good side and we play really well as a unit, so we shouldn't fear anybody. So fingers crossed for Thursday, Martin.
Is that? I'll take that to you as well, Cammy. Is that week off a benefit for us, the fact we've got to rest the legs, or is it a benefit for them because they've continued playing right through? It's a hashtag crap question, because it's only a week off, so it's not going to have any benefit in terms of playing to recovery time and stuff. But is it better for us that we've had a week off?
I don't think it will have done any harm at all. I think during the course of the first few months of the season, I think we benefited from the regular schedule. But I think at this point, and what is, as Scotty said, a winner takes all tie, I think it allows any sort of niggles time to heal. It allows the players to get into a routine after what had been a sort of jubilant party, whatever you want to call it, few days leading up to the first leg. They've had a bit of normality. They've been able to just get back into a routine of normal training without any distractions. So I think it'll be a positive thing. And if it allows the likes of Ryan Jack to be back into the squad, then that's a bonus. And I think Tav will be a miss, but I think young Patterson, I thought, done fantastically well last Thursday night. And
Aye. I've seen nothing for Patterson that would suggest that it would make me nervous. But Scotty Fogdog's put a good point in here. That Stanchu scored 2 on Sunday. Now, from the first leg, what I seen anyway, he was the one player that, if we don't pay him the proper amount of respect, he can hurt us.
Yeah, Stanchu and Sima, two quality players.
Just on that really quickly, Scott. Sima, I didn't see much from that Sima that suggested he was all that for the hype that he's getting.
I mean, for 19 years old, he's quick, he's strong, he's clearly talented with the ball. He had a couple of wild shots, but only takes one half decent connection, and that's potentially flying in the top corner. Stanchu is obviously more of an experienced player. I think he's about 27. Who's got his talent, and if we're in the market for that kind of player, I'd like to think we'd be looking at him. Yeah.
John, I didn't realise you were going to give me such a short #crap answer there.
So I was looking at all the things that you're popping up, and my head just.
Cammy, that's one thing we've never really spoke about, Cammy. Actually, is VAR. What do you make of the whole VAR situation, the thing going on? Especially, we hear about it a lot down south, but does VAR in the Europa League, does that worry you at all?
No, to be honest with you. I mean, I think, to be honest.
Thanks very much, Cammy. Cheers. Sorry, I thought you were going to give me a Scott answer there.
No, the only game that's had a mate, for what I can recall, is the Antwerp away game with regard to the penalties and all that sort of situation. It is what it is, and it's quite ironic. I saw a stat with regard to, I think we've got 2 or 3 players that are booking away from missing the first leg of the last 8. But the stat was, I think, Morelos. I mean, Morelos, for a guy that's had an inordinate amount of yellow cards and red cards during his time in Scotland, his discipline in Europa League has been very good over, by and large, apart from UEFA all the years ago sort of thing, and you would think the likes of Alfie getting involved in silly things off the ball, that VAR would be all over it. But to this point, he's kept his nose clean. So look, it's interesting just to see it in action in one of your games, because when you see what happens in the Premiership, and they manage to still get it wrong when they go to the VAR person in the studio sort of thing, But I would hope that VAR doesn't influence the final result, unless it gives us a dodgy penalty.
Listen, do me a favour, guys. Scroll up to one of CGM's comments and tell me if I can put it on screen. Right, Kerr. Just finally on the whole Slavia game. What I have noticed in the comments and online is that the Rangers fans, normally we're going to win. Don't care who we're playing, we're going to win. There's a lot more that are kind of sitting 50-50 on the fence with this one. So are you confident that we're going to win? And if you are, give me a prediction.
I'm confident enough we'll go through, but I think it'll be a tough game. I think we'll have to be at our best, but I think if we are, we can sneak through. And that's my prediction. I think we'll go through with our goal.
Well, no, give me a proper prediction. Give me a score. Not the odd goal.
A 2-1 to Rangers.
A 2-1 to Rangers or a 2-1?
2-1.
Scott, I'm in Sarky mode tonight, gentlemen.
I know, that's why I'm totally ignoring you, Martin. No emotion applied. Giving you crap answer. Shot. 2-1.
Scotty, are you confident? Give me a prediction.
I'm a confident no. I don't think at this stage of the competition you could really take anything for granted and go in with an air of confidence. I'm hopeful on a educated basis, looking at it objectively, looking at who we are, where they are, taking all the analysis in. I'm hopeful. I suppose a little bit confident on that basis, and I'd certainly make us favourites. I'll go for a Rangers win. 2-0. I reckon it'll be a nervy 1-0 for a long period of time, and we'll get a goal on the break at the end of the game.
Right, Cammy, same question to you.
I think I'm confident of our ability to progress. I think it'll be a very nervy sort of night. I think we will need to score a couple of goals to progress, because I do believe that Slavia will get a goal. I think we'll win 3-1, but I think it will be very, very tight for a long period of the game, and I think it'll be a couple of goals late on that'll see us into the hat for the last 8.
Well, like I said, I just put up there, Andrew Bluebell thinks it's going to be 5-3. Now, is that on aggregate or is that on the night, Andrew? That's a bit mental. Chick Sharp thinks we're going out. He thinks it's going to be 2 each. And Aldo McNaught, 2-1 Rangers Buff Brace. I struggled to read that there. So can I put that comment for CGM on screen?
Why not? It'll be the group chat going nuts.
Better not, after all the kerfuffle that we've seen on Twitter tonight. Anyway, you can tell I'm not. Everybody in my house has went to bed, I should say, because it's an hour and 11 minutes this has went, and I'm no worried. It's great. But we shall leave it there, because I can see Keir constantly looking at his door as if to go, who's coming in? We will be back on. I won't be back on Thursday because I'm working, but we'll be back on Thursday with reaction to said Slavia game, and we will also, in that same reaction, preview the Celtic game. So, Kerr, Scotty, Cammy, the three Scots, gents, thanks very much.
Cheers.
Hang on, one thing. Kerr, what is that behind you? You've got a load of weird stuff behind you. You going to talk us through that?
That's my wife's stuff.
That's always that's a great question.
I'm in the bedroom, so.
Before we go, Andrew Bluebell just put this in, and I totally forgot. Happy birthday to Ian Ferguson, 54 today. Guy was there for the whole 9 in a row, so a big happy birthday to Ian Ferguson. So listen, on that, guys, thanks for joining me. Everybody, thanks for watching, and we shall speak to you again very, 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 very soon.